Peace and respect to Marcus Garvey. In the early 20th century, a visionary emerged from the heart of Jamaica, igniting a powerful movement that would reverberate across the globe. His name was Marcus Mosiah Garvey Jr., born on August 17, 1887, in St. Ann's Bay, Jamaica. Garvey's journey began in a colonial Jamaica, where he witnessed the pervasive effects of racial injustices and economic disparities on African-descended peoples. Empowered by his early experiences and education, Garvey became a fervent advocate for black empowerment. In July 1914, he founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, in Kingston, Jamaica. The UNIA was more than an organization. It was a clarion call for black people worldwide to unite and embrace their African heritage with pride. Garvey's charisma and eloquent oratory galvanized masses. He envisioned a world where African Americans could thrive economically, culturally, and politically, independent of white dominance. This vision led to the establishment of numerous UNIA businesses and entities, including the famous Black Star Line, a shipping line intended to facilitate the transportation of goods and eventually African Americans throughout the African global economy. His influence extended far beyond the economic realm. Garvey championed the idea of Pan-Africanism, advocating for the solidarity of Africans worldwide. He believed in the redemption of the African continent from colonial rule and the establishment of a unified African state. This bold stance earned him the title of Provisional President of Africa among his followers. Garvey's impact was monumental, planting the seeds for future civil rights movements and the independent struggles of African nations. He instilled a sense of pride and self-worth in millions, reshaping their view of their place in the world. The legacy of Marcus Garvey is a testament to the power of vision and resilience. His life's work encourages us to recognize the greatness within and the potential for collective action to forge a better future. In understanding our past, we unlock the strength to shape our destiny, inspired by the enduring spirit of Garvey's dream. Garvey's movement, while centered in the United States for a significant period, had a global reach, influencing and inspiring African diasporic communities worldwide. His philosophy of self-reliance and racial pride resonated deeply, particularly in an era marked by colonialism and rampant racial discrimination. In the United States, Garvey's UNIA established over 700 branches across the country. These branches played a critical role in fostering a sense of unity and purpose among African Americans. They also offered various community services, including educational programs, financial assistance, and business opportunities, all aligned with Garvey's vision of economic independence for black people. Garvey's influence extended into the realms of culture and arts. The UNIA's parades and conventions were not just political events, they were celebrations of black culture and heritage. Garvey's emphasis on African history and aesthetics contributed to a burgeoning sense of identity and pride among black individuals, a precursor to the Harlem Renaissance that would later flourish in the 1920s. Despite facing opposition, including surveillance and disruption by the US government, Garvey's message continued to spread. His advocacy for the Back to Africa movement and the establishment of a black-led nation in Africa inspired future generations of leaders and activists in the struggle for civil rights and African independence. Marcus Garvey's story is one of unwavering determination in the face of adversity. His teachings on self-reliance, unity, and pride in one's heritage continue to echo in contemporary movements. By revisiting and embracing the lessons from Garvey's life and the UNIA, we are reminded of the power of knowledge, unity, and the enduring quest for justice and equality. In recognizing our past, we find the courage to build a future that honors the dignity and potential of every individual, a future that Garvey envisioned and tirelessly worked towards. As Garvey's movement grew, it transcended beyond mere advocacy and took concrete steps towards actualizing his vision of black empowerment. The UNIA's activities were diverse and impactful, spanning from economic initiatives to cultural renaissance. One of Garvey's most ambitious projects was the Black Star Line, a shipping company established in 1919. This venture was more than a business. It symbolized the potential for black economic independence and self-sufficiency. The Black Star Line aimed to facilitate trade between the Americas, the Caribbean, and Africa, fostering economic links among the global African diaspora. While the venture faced challenges and ultimately did not sustain, its symbolic value in promoting black ownership and economic collaboration was profound. In addition to economic initiatives, Garvey's UNIA also made significant strides in cultural education and pride. The association organized events that celebrated African heritage, including pageants, parades, and conventions. These events were not just social gatherings, they were potent tools for instilling a sense of identity and purpose among black individuals. The UNIA's message was clear. Black history and culture were sources of pride, not shame. Garvey also ventured into journalism, understanding the power of media in shaping public opinion and spreading his message. He founded the Negro World newspaper in 1918, which became a key instrument in disseminating his ideas. The newspaper featured articles on African history, editorials on current events, and advocated for the UNIA's objectives. It was instrumental in spreading Garvey's message globally, reaching audiences in the United States, the Caribbean, Latin America, and Africa. Despite the immense popularity and influence of Garvey and the UNIA, they faced significant opposition. Garvey's bold vision and growing influence alarmed both colonial powers and those opposed to his message of black unity and empowerment. In the United States, he became a target of the FBI, leading to his eventual arrest and deportation. However, these challenges did not dampen the spirit of his movement. The legacy of Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association is enduring. It lies not just in their accomplishments but in the profound shift they brought about in the mindset of black people across the world. Garvey's emphasis on self-reliance, unity, and pride in African heritage inspired future generations of leaders and activists. In reflecting on Garvey's life and work, we are reminded of the transformative power of conviction and collective action. His story teaches us the importance of understanding our history, embracing our identity, and working together towards a common goal. As we forge ahead, we carry the legacy of Marcus Garvey, a reminder that in unity, pride, and knowledge of our past lies the key to shaping a future filled with hope, dignity, and equality. The impact of Marcus Garvey's vision and the work of the UNIA extended far into the future, laying a foundation for civil rights movements and the decolonization of Africa. Garvey's philosophy of self-reliance and racial pride, encapsulated in his famous phrase, "Up, you mighty race, accomplish what you will," resonated deeply and inspired many leaders and movements that followed. In the realm of civil rights in the United States, Garvey's influence was evident. His emphasis on black pride and economic self-sufficiency can be seen as a precursor to the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s. Leaders like Malcolm X were directly influenced by Garvey's teachings, with Malcolm's parents being active members of the UNIA. The Black Power movement of the 1960s also echoed many of Garvey's ideas, particularly in its emphasis on black nationalism and economic empowerment. Globally, Garvey's vision of African independence and unity had a lasting impact. His call for the liberation of African nations from colonial rule and his vision of a united Africa inspired many leaders of the African independence movements. Countries across the continent, striving for self-determination, drew upon Garvey's message of unity and empowerment in their fight against colonialism. The Rastafarian movement, which emerged in Jamaica in the 1930s, also drew heavily from Garvey's teachings. Garvey's emphasis on the African diaspora returning to their ancestral homeland resonated with Rastafarians, who regard Ethiopia as their spiritual homeland. His messages about black consciousness and empowerment remain central themes in Rastafarian philosophy. Garvey's work also had a significant impact on literature and the arts. The Harlem Renaissance, a cultural, social, and artistic movement that took place in Harlem, New York, during the 1920s, was partly inspired by Garvey's emphasis on black pride and cultural expression. Writers, artists, and musicians of this era explored themes of racial identity and pride, much like Garvey had championed. In today's context, Garvey's legacy continues to inspire. His life and work are studied and celebrated as symbols of resistance and empowerment. In an era where discussions about race, identity, and decolonization are at the forefront, Garvey's messages remain relevant, urging current and future generations to remember their history, embrace their identity, and work collectively towards a just and equitable society. In conclusion, Marcus Garvey's story is one of resilience, vision, and unwavering commitment to the upliftment of the black race. His legacy is not confined to the past. It is a living, breathing inspiration that continues to influence and shape the quest for racial equality and empowerment. Understanding Garvey's life and the work of the UNIA empowers us to continue the struggle for justice and to strive for greatness in our communities, inspired by the past to shape a better future. Click like, subscribe, and share this channel.